At 02:10 a.m.
They were stationed at Domo Deovo Airport, systematically blasting incoming Ukrainian drones right out of the dark sky.
Then, a critical warning suddenly flashed on the targeting computer, a message that would change absolutely everything. The advanced system was firing missiles every 3 seconds, but the inbound drone swarm was not getting smaller.
This engagement was no longer a simple defense. It had become a desperate, urgent race of pure attrition. Based on their remaining missile count, they had only 75 seconds of continuous firing time remaining. Based on their remaining missile count, they had only 75 seconds of continuous firing time remaining.
After that, the first wave of unstoppable targets would breach the airport's perimeter defenses and be through.
The primary reason the swarm was not shrinking was simple. They were being tricked into fighting ghosts.
154 of these targets were decoys, programmed with a single mission: to die spectacularly.
The real threat was a small group of just 39 Lutai drones flying silently among phantoms. These decoys worked by using a brilliant piece of electronic warfare, which is now known as ghost mode. These decoys worked by using a brilliant piece of electronic warfare, which is now known as ghost mode. Each decoy was programmed to broadcast its radar position on a precise 3.6-second time delay. This means the Panzer's multi-million-dollar missile arrives at an empty piece of sky, chasing a shadow. It strikes the exact spot where the decoy drone was 3.5 seconds ago, completely missing. So, while the Panzer crew saw 34 successful fireballs light up the night, they were entirely unaware.
For every single ghost they successfully killed, 5 more real drones had already slipped right past them.
However, this entire trap would not have been possible without Russia's first catastrophic mistake from 40 minutes earlier. The entire 193 drone swarm first had to bypass Moscow's formidable outer shield, the S-400 long-range radar.
That advanced system is programmed with a Doppler filter to ignore ground clutter or slow-moving objects.
It is designed to filter out signals from things near the Earth, like common cars or cows.
A drone flying at just 20 feet off the ground does not register as a threat.
To the complex radar system, it simply looks like background noise, not an incoming enemy attack. To the complex radar system, it simply looks like background noise, not an incoming enemy attack.
The S-400 system saw the swarm, classified it as harmless, and let it pass without firing.
So, now at 02:11 a.m., the Panzer crew is wasting its last precious missiles on ghosts.
They remain completely blind to the fact that the real killers are already well past the gate. They remain completely blind to the fact that the real killers are already well past the gate.
While the Panzer crew was fighting for their lives at Domo Deovo, the real attack was unfolding.
It was happening just 20 miles away at the Zukovsky Military Airport, a much higher value target. This entire operation was a classic two-pronged assault, designed by a brilliant, ruthless, and calculating tactician.
The 154 decoys had one specific job: fly high at 500 feet and light up radar.
They were designed to act as the world's most expensive skeet shooting targets, drawing all the fire. They were designed to act as the world's most expensive skeet shooting targets, drawing all the fire.
Their flight path was deliberately provocative, designed to draw every eye and every single defensive missile. But while the big boys were making all the noise upstairs, the 39 real killers were down.
They flew at just 20 feet, using thick fog and rolling hills of the Zukovsky forest.
And they were not just flying in a straight line. Their path was incredibly complex.
Each of those 39 drones had an AI brain loaded with 1,024 separate navigational waypoints. Each of those 39 drones had an AI brain loaded with 1,024 separate navigational waypoints.
It is like programming a cruise missile with the precise agility of a tiny, fast hummingbird. They were designed to bob and weave through every known gap in Russia's layered air defense network.
At 02:15 a.m., the Pancer S-1 system at Domo Deovo was not engaged in a real battle.
It was the unknowing victim of a classic denial of service attack, a massive electronic warfare trap. The 154 decoys were not programmed to just fly and die. Their mission was more insidious. They were programmed to be the most annoying targets imaginable, flying in layered, repeating attack waves. This forced the Panzer's targeting computer to dedicate 100% of its processing power to tracking them. From a technical perspective, this strategy is nothing short of genius, a brilliant electronic warfare maneuver. The decoys acted like a botnet, flooding a web server with an overwhelming amount of junk traffic. The Panzer's powerful computer became consumed with handling fake requests, leaving zero bandwidth to scan for threats.
The entire point of the Domo Deovo swarm was not to survive the Panzer missile system.
It was to keep it so monumentally busy that it could not turn its head. It was to keep it so monumentally busy that it could not turn its head. It was completely distracted from looking 20 miles down the road toward the real target, Zukovsky Airport.
While the $15 million system was effectively turned into the world's most expensive, useless paperweight,
It was running a pointless diagnostic on endless streams of junk data, completely neutralized by the decoys.
The real malware, the 39 killer drones, was being uploaded directly to Russia's most sensitive hardware.
At 02:25 a.m., the Russian commanders at Zukovsky finally realized they were being played by experts.
The decoy swarm was a diversion, and their advanced Panzer systems were now out of the game.
So, they did what any cornered opponent would do. They escalated the situation with brute force.
They scrambled their apex predators, the advanced Su-35 fighter jets, to defend the airspace immediately.
These $80 million machines tore through the sky, their pilots tasked with one simple mission: hunt. The dense fog and ground clutter made their powerful radar systems completely useless in this specific situation.
So, they switched to their most lethal weapon: advanced, next-generation heat-seeking missiles.
These are digital bloodhounds designed to lock onto the faintest thermal signature of an active engine. The pilots ripped through the fog, scanning the area for the 39 Liutai drones.
But they found absolutely nothing, just cold, empty air. So, where were the 39 killers? They had not been destroyed, and they were not gone. They had, in fact, gone to sleep.
The 39 drones had not flown into a trap. That would have been pure amateur hour. The 39 drones had not flown into a trap. That would have been pure amateur hour. Instead, using the chaos of the decoy swarm, each drone flew to a pre-programmed hibernation point. This was a thicket of trees, a shallow ditch, or an overgrown culvert in the storm drains. Once they had arrived at their hidden positions, they shut down their engines completely, going cold.
A cold gasoline engine has absolutely zero thermal signature,
making it invisible to infrared detection systems. It radiates the exact same amount of heat as the cold, frozen mud that is all around it.
Finding that with a high-tech infrared scope is like finding a specific car in a parking lot.
It's an impossible task if you are only looking for the heat signature of running engines.
If the engine is off, it's just another piece of cold, invisible metal hidden in clutter.
Russia's $80 million fighter jets were rendered completely useless by simply turning off an engine.
The elite pilots were left staring at an empty heat scope, wondering if they were being haunted. At 02:40 a.m., with fighter jets flying blind and automated defenses tied in knots, a new order. At 02:40 a.m., with fighter jets flying blind and automated defenses tied in knots, a new order.
Send in the ground teams.
The Russian command did the only thing it had left to do. They decided to go all in. DA!
They unleashed the hounds. 500 Spetsnaz operators, Russia's most elite special forces, fanned out.
These operators moved into the fog-drenched forests surrounding the Zukovsky Airport, searching for the hidden drones. But these soldiers were not just on a simple scavenger hunt. They were a highly trained wolf pack.
They set up a perimeter and established overlapping fields of fire, securing the entire forest area. They used sensitive acoustic sensors, listening for the faintest electronic hum from the dormant drone systems. They were hunting in the dark, and they were among the most dangerous predators on the planet. This moment represented the true limit of the Ukrainian plan. The next phase would be critical.
They had outsmarted the computers and outmaneuvered the jets, but now they faced 500 trained humans.
These soldiers would not be fooled by the same electronic ghosts that had tricked the automated systems. Nothing. Keep moving.
The drones were successfully hidden, but they were also trapped inside a tightening steel cage of soldiers. For the Ukrainian commanders watching on their screens, the question became terrifyingly simple and very urgent.
Do we activate them now and risk a massive bloodbath? Or do we wait for a chance?
At 02:50 a.m., the Ukrainian commanders finally made their difficult and high-stakes choice. There was no more time left for stealth. The encrypted signal pulsed from Kyiv. Wake up!
All at once, the entire forest erupted. 39 engines roared to life simultaneously, breaking the silence. This sound was the dinner bell for the Spetsnaz. Muzzle flashes lit up the dense fog. Every operator opened fire on the nearest sound. It was no longer a hunt, it was ambush.
The result was a bloodbath. 7 drones were shredded before their rotors could even achieve full lift.
Another 5 were hit as they struggled to climb above the tree line, spiraling back to Earth. In less than 90 seconds, 12 drones, nearly a third of the force, were burning wreckage.
The Spetsnaz operators were not incompetent. They were lethal, and they had just exacted a heavy price.
But it was a chaotic, desperate firefight. For every drone an operator could target, 2 more. These other drones were already lifting off from a different direction, escaping the deadly ground fire. These other drones were already lifting off from a different direction, escaping the deadly ground fire. The fog that had blinded the pilots now became the drone's best shield, masking their ascent.
As the surviving 27 drones cleared the tree line, battered but airborne, the Russian commanders watched.
They probably thought they had just won a major victory and had successfully crushed the entire assault.
They were completely and catastrophically wrong. The real mission was just beginning for the surviving drones. They had been looking at the wrong chessboard the entire time, focused on the wrong tactical threat.
While their soldiers were fighting in the forest, the real target was the massive, undefended fuel depot.
This target was being watched in crystal clear HD, streamed from the airport's own hacked security cameras. The Russians had won the battle in the forest, but Ukraine was about to win the war. While their best soldiers were chasing echoes in the fog, the airport's ground crew was on break.
An air traffic controller was likely relaxing, completely unaware of the imminent danger approaching the airport. They had no idea 27 battle-hardened drones were screaming out of the darkness, converging on them.
The surviving drones were not flying stealthy anymore. They were charging ahead at full throttle.
On the hacked security camera feed, commanders watched the tranquil scene, a diorama of blissful ignorance. This was not just an attack, it was a punchline about to be delivered at 1:20.
Russia thought the entire party was over. Ukraine was, in fact, just about to bring the fireworks.
When the first drone hit the primary jet fuel tank, it was not a simple explosion.
It was a physics lesson delivered with extreme prejudice. The drone's 110-pound warhead was a shaped charge.
This warhead was designed not to blast, but to pierce thick armor and reinforced steel plating.
On impact, it unleashed a needle-thin jet of molten copper, screaming at 16,000 miles per hour.
That jet sliced through the tank's reinforced steel wall like a hot knife cutting right through butter.
But the real magic happened inside the tank. The jet of superheated plasma ignited a massive.
This cloud of jet fuel vapor turned thousands of gallons into a single, massive, roaring fireball. This pulse crippled nearby radar stations, communications, and electronic drone controls, frying the sensitive circuits.
There was no loud crack, just a deep, gut-wrenching whoomp that felt like air tearing apart. The ground shook as if from a 4.0 earthquake, a fireball lighting up the night. Then, just as suddenly as the light, came the darkness. The electromagnetic pulse had hit.
Every light, every radar screen, and every radio on the base went completely and totally dead.
1 second, a functioning airport. The next, a dark, burning junkyard, deafened and totally blinded.
The massive fireball over the fuel depot was only just the beginning of the airport's problems.
The real damage was the silent, cascading collapse that spread through the airport like a virus.
It turned a functioning military base into a tomb in under 5 minutes. A total operational kill.
This sudden and complete digital silence created a very real human nightmare for the soldiers on.
Surviving Spetsnaz operators reached for their satellite phones, but found only the sound of useless static.
The chain of command was not just broken, it was completely vaporized in an instant.
Junior officers were screaming for orders that their terrified commanders, trapped in dark posts, could not give.
But the operation was not done. The destruction of Zukovsky was not the endgame at all.
It was, in fact, the starting gun for round 2 of a much larger, coordinated operation.
With intelligence confirming the base was deaf, dumb, and blind, a new order was given.
Phase 2 was officially green-lit, a window of opportunity for the next 72 hours. Russia's air response capability from the Moscow region was now effectively reduced to absolute zero. The sky was wide open, and that was a clear invitation for the next wave. A second swarm of 50 Lutai drones, already pre-positioned, lifted into the air.
Their target was not an airport. It was the vulnerable supply convoys stuck on the highways.
These convoys were completely exposed, with no air cover and no way to call for help.
At the same time, Ukrainian HIMARS batteries, given pre-approved targets, began a relentless barrage. They were firing without any fear of counter-battery fire.
The surviving S-400 batteries could see it all happening, but they were powerless to do anything.
Their radar screens, slowly coming back online, could see the HIMARS launches and the second drone swarm.
But without orders from a functioning command center, they were legally and functionally paralyzed, unable to act.
Access denied.
All they could do was sit and watch as their critical supply lines burned on the highways.
It was the military equivalent of watching your house get robbed on your own security camera.
In the 48 hours that followed, Moscow went into full damage control mode, trying to.
These independent analysts were able to confirm the full, catastrophic scale of the damage to the airport.
Russian state media went completely silent on any incident in the region, a telling sign.
But the clearest evidence came from public flight trackers. Over 100 international flights were canceled. Both Domo Deovo and Zukovsky were turned into giant, smoking parking lots, completely non-operational. But the real story isn't about the burning fuel or the many canceled international flights. This operation effectively burned the entire Russian military doctrine straight to the ground, proving its flaws. It proved that a concrete fortress, defended by billion-dollar radar, could be brought to its knees.
It was defeated by a few dozen $5,000 drones and a 50-year-old Soviet-era storm drain.
That administration was threatening to cut aid, forcing Ukraine to prove it could win on it. This strike was their answer. It sent a clear and unmistakable message to NATO. Your investment in our defense is paying off. We are winning.
It also sent a direct message to Russian leadership right before the Geneva negotiations. Your position.
That message was that their position is significantly weaker than they think it is.
Instead, their strategic position was severely compromised, undermining their leverage at the negotiating table.
This operation highlights the incredible asymmetry of modern warfare and the power of innovative, low-cost technology. It demonstrates how creative thinking can neutralize billions of dollars in sophisticated, conventional military hardware.
It leaves military strategists everywhere with one difficult, fundamental question that must be answered.
How do you defend a modern fortress against an enemy that uses your own infrastructure as a
modern, asymmetric enemy that uses your own storm drains as a highway to your very heart?